Hello and welcome back to Hidden Home Technology. Today's a little video that I've been thinking about whilst driving around over the last couple of days. It will be on the impact of AI on the smart home industry, or perhaps on the end user when it comes to smart home and smart home capability. So the idea was just something that crossed my mind because we were looking at AI tools for improving our productivity and making our lives easier with admin and social media and all those things. So obviously that then brought us onto the debate of, I wonder how this is going to affect our jobs and affect the industry and affect the things that we can offer. So I put the question to ChatGPT, first of all, to kind of, basically explain to me what it thought the impact of AI would be on the whole industry. And there'll be an article, basically, you can see what ChatGPT said with a few edits from me on our website. That'll be in the news section of our website. So if you go to www.hiddenhome.tech and look in the news section, you'll see the article there. But I wanted to follow up with my personal thoughts and what the tech departments of a few of the control system people are. So in other words, your C4s and your URC and RTI and those people, the people that are the brains of a smart home. And these are the brains of the smart home companies, the tech support people. The short answer is probably not that huge. In fact, we think it'd be very evolutionary. And although it may be a fairly rapid evolution, we're not too sure it will change masses of functionality or change anything that, obviously there's still physical installation that's required. Things like speakers in ceilings, light switches in walls, aircon, curtains and blinds, they're all physical things. So the AI is only going to come in the configuration side, maybe, or the interaction side, or perhaps therefore lack of interaction, or maybe it's greater notifications or something along those lines. But effectively, from an installation perspective, I could see a point where, we connect all the products to the networks and go through perhaps like setup wizards like you do. So you would say when you turn on the TV in the bedroom that this is the bedroom TV, and when you're in the living room, the products that are in the living room you say are in the living room, whether that's the TV, the projector in the kitchen. You tell the toaster it's in the kitchen. You tell the TV in the kitchen it's in there, the amplifiers, all those things. You effectively you give it some information so it knows what it's up to. And from there, the control system could then announce on the network, hey, I'm a control system. What devices are here on the computer network and where are you and what can you do? And then they would reply back with all of their command sets and features and things that they can be utilized for. So a TV would reply back saying, I've got Netflix, I've got iPlayer, these are the commands you need to turn them on, these are my volume commands, these are my on-off commands, etc. So these are things that we manually put in to the programming software. So we say there's a kitchen, there's a living room, there's a bedroom, and that there's a Sony TV in there. And once we tell it there's a Sony TV in there with a specific model, it populates it with the commands. So we just think that process will perhaps become a little bit more automatic. And then there's things along the lines of, potentially security and adaptability in the house. So things will be like motion sensors and what might happen if there is motion in a room and what might happen if there's not. At the moment, those are manual processes that don't adapt or change. So in this instance, it might be that, if there's no movement in your house for a few days, then to turn on holiday mode, replaying your lighting and curtain usage and things like that, so that your house is secure if you forget to start holiday mode. It might just be get a notification saying, would you like to start holiday mode? So it'd be a few convenience factors might kick in. There's big talk of things like, your smartwatch seeing that you're stressed and therefore it starts to play whale music to you through the speakers or something like that. We can't really see that that's going to be the case, because it's going to be unlikely that all of the systems are going to be intelligent enough to know that you like whale music. It might be the last thing you want if you're stressed, if you're having an argument, domestic argument or something, and all of a sudden the whales start playing. You're going to get even more frustrated and throw the remote control across the room or something. So there's a whole load of things. And also, on a more serious note, if it was something like in the care industry or something like that, if it's you're relying on AI to come up with whether it's an emergency or not, I'm not so sure that that's sensible when you could have just simple logic commands in there, which are things like, if the front door latches at the night in the middle of the night when someone's got the occupant has dementia or something, then that would notify friends and family that maybe they're going out when they shouldn't. And those things should be manually set up rather than leaving it to an AI to decide that that's a sensible thing to implement. So I think most of our side of things is going to remain human, the physical installation, the configuration of security side, but there will be perhaps some interaction basics that will evolve. So yeah, it might seem very underwhelming, but I think that's it in a nutshell. That yes, systems will become more advanced. Another joking one we had was things like we just can't see the cost working out. You're not going to put AI inside your toaster for a number of reasons. One, you don't need it, and two, it would be incredibly frustrating if your toaster needed Wi-Fi in the corner of the kitchen, was in a dead spot or something, and you're then having to put your toaster in the middle of the floor for it to get Wi-Fi reception and what have you. So the reality of everything becoming intermingled and everything being on one user platform, I think is unlikely. So I guess that was one last thing that I was thinking about, was you won't get, as the URC tech guy said, you're unlikely to get sort of electronic communism, in the sense that everyone suddenly decides to run off the same interoperable operating system. So you're not going to get Apple working perfectly harmoniously with Android all of a sudden just because AI is involved. So I was thinking, well, what you might get is like an AI brain that sits as a third-party platform and acts as a translator between these platforms, but effectively that's what we do as integrators anyway. So it still comes back down to, yes, they might communicate and handshake with this interpretational control system automatically, but what happens after that would then be predetermined by a human being. So what the user interface actually ends up looking like, what features are available to the end user. So yeah, I think it may decrease friction in the installation and use process, but I don't think there's going to be anytime soon, anyway, in the next 2 or 3 years, any huge advances in features we hadn't thought of or anything like that. So anyway, if you like this, like, subscribe, comment, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you soon.